Welcome to the Exponential English Podcast. This is a place to slow down, to breathe, and to learn English naturally. My name is Emma. Today we will practice easy English in the kitchen. This lesson is for beginners. We will use very simple sentences. We will use the word I. I will speak slowly. Please listen. Please repeat after me. Let's start. I am in the kitchen. I am in my kitchen. The kitchen is clean. The kitchen is quiet. I am ready to cook. I am ready to make food. I feel calm. I feel good. I start my day in the kitchen. In the morning, I make breakfast. I make breakfast every day. Breakfast is simple. Breakfast is easy. I am hungry, so I make breakfast. I take food from the fridge. I open the fridge. I look inside the fridge. I take out the eggs. I take out the milk. I take out the butter. Then I close the fridge. I open the fridge. I take out the eggs. I close the fridge. Very good. Now I wash my hands. I wash my hands before I cook. My hands are clean now. Now I begin. First, I peel the potatoes. I peel the potatoes slowly. I peel one potato. Then I peel another potato. I peel the potatoes over the sink. The potatoes are brown. Now the potatoes are white. I peel the potatoes for breakfast. I peel the potatoes for dinner. I peel the potatoes with care. Please repeat. I peel the potatoes. I peel the potatoes slowly. Good. Now I turn on the stove. I turn the stove on. The stove is hot. I am careful. I do not touch the hot stove. I turn the stove on to cook my food. Please repeat. I turn the stove on. Good. Now I fry eggs. I fry 2 eggs. I fry the eggs in a pan. The pan is hot. The eggs cook in the pan. I watch the eggs. I wait a little. I fry eggs for breakfast. I like fried eggs. The eggs smell good. Please repeat. I fry eggs. I fry 2 eggs. Very nice. Now I taste the food. I taste the food with a spoon. I taste the eggs. I taste the potatoes. I want to know if the food is good. I taste the food carefully. The food is hot, so I blow on it first. Then I taste it. Please repeat. I taste the food. Good. Now I add salt. The food needs a little salt, so I add salt. Not too much. Just a little. I add salt to the eggs. I add salt to the potatoes. Sometimes I add pepper too, but today I add salt. Please repeat. I add salt. Very good. Sometimes I add sugar. I add sugar to my coffee. I add sugar to tea. I add sugar to a cake. Salt is for some foods. Sugar is for other foods. Today I add sugar to my coffee. Please repeat. I add sugar. Good job. Now I stir the soup. The soup is in the pot. The soup is warm. I use a spoon. I stir the soup slowly. I stir the soup so it cooks well. I stir the soup again. The soup smells nice. Please repeat. I stir the soup. I stir the soup slowly. Very good. Now let's talk about dishes. After I eat, I wash the dishes. The dishes are dirty. So I wash the dishes. I wash the plate. I wash the cup. I wash the spoon. I wash the fork. I wash the pan. I use water and soap. I wash the dishes in the sink. Please repeat. I wash the dishes. Good. After that, I dry the dishes. I dry the dishes with a towel. The dishes are clean, but they are wet. So I dry the dishes. I dry the plate. I dry the cup. I dry the spoon. Now the dishes are clean and dry. Please repeat. I dry the dishes. Very nice. Now I clean the table. There are crumbs on the table. There is a little water on the table. So I clean the table. I use a cloth. I clean the table after breakfast. I clean the table after lunch. I clean the table after dinner. I like a clean kitchen. Please repeat. I clean the table. Good. Now let's go back to the fridge. I open the fridge. I take food from the fridge. I take milk from the fridge. I take vegetables from the fridge. I take fruit from the fridge. Then I close the fridge. I do not leave the fridge open. I open the fridge. I take food from the fridge. I close the fridge. Please repeat. I open the fridge. I take food from the fridge. I close the fridge. Excellent. Now let's say it as a short routine. I walk to the fridge. I open the fridge. I take out the eggs. I take out the milk. I close the fridge. I wash my hands. I turn the stove on. I fry eggs. I taste the food. I add salt. Then I eat. After that, I wash the dishes. I dry the dishes. I clean the table. This is my kitchen routine. Now let's keep going. Sometimes I bake a cake. I bake a cake for my family. I bake a cake for my friends. First, I need flour. I need eggs. I need sugar. I need butter. I put the ingredients in a bowl. Then I mix them. I mix them well. After that, I put the cake in the oven. Then I bake the cake. The cake smells sweet. The cake looks beautiful. I am happy when I bake a cake. Please repeat. I bake a cake. Very good. Now let's talk about coffee. In the morning, I make coffee. I make coffee when I feel sleepy. I make coffee before work. I make coffee in the kitchen. I use hot water. I use coffee. Sometimes I use milk. Sometimes I add sugar. I make coffee every morning. The coffee is hot. The coffee smells nice. Please repeat. I make coffee. I add sugar. Good. Sometimes I heat food. Maybe the food is cold. Maybe the food is from yesterday. So I heat the food. I put the food in a bowl. Then I heat the food. Now the food is warm. Now the food is ready. I heat rice. I heat soup. I heat pasta. Please repeat. I heat the food. Very good. Now let's practice some kitchen tools. I use a knife. A knife is sharp. I use a knife carefully. I use a knife to cut vegetables. I use a knife to cut fruit. I use a knife to cut bread. I am careful with the knife. Please repeat. I use a knife. Good. Now I use a spoon. I use a spoon to stir the soup. I use a spoon to taste the food. I use a spoon to eat soup. I use a spoon every day. The spoon is small. The spoon is useful. Please repeat. I use a spoon. Very nice. Now let's do a longer speaking practice. Listen first, then repeat. In the morning, I go to the kitchen. I open the fridge and take out the eggs. Then I close the fridge. I wash my hands and turn the stove on. I fry 2 eggs in a pan. I taste the food and add a little salt. Then I make coffee and add some sugar. After breakfast, I wash the dishes, dry the dishes, and clean the table. Now repeat that by yourself. Let's do another one. In the afternoon, I am in the kitchen again. I peel potatoes and cook soup. I stir the soup with a spoon. I taste the soup. It is good, but it needs a little salt. Later, I heat some food for lunch. I use a knife carefully when I cut vegetables. When I finish, I wash my hands and clean the kitchen. Now repeat. Very good. Now let's practice line by line. I am in the kitchen. I make breakfast. I open the fridge. I take out the eggs. I close the fridge. I wash my hands. I turn the stove on. I fry eggs. I taste the food. I add salt. I make coffee. I add sugar. I wash the dishes. I dry the dishes. I clean the table. Excellent. Now let's practice with simple questions and answers. What do I do in the morning? I make breakfast. What do I open? I open the fridge. What do I take from the fridge? I take food from the fridge. What do I do before I cook? I wash my hands. What do I turn on? I turn the stove on. What do I fry? I fry eggs. What do I do with the soup? I stir the soup. What do I do when the food is cold? I heat the food. What do I use to cut? I use a knife. What do I use to stir and taste? I use a spoon. What do I wash after I eat? I wash the dishes. What do I do after I wash the dishes? I dry the dishes. What do I clean? I clean the table. Very nice work. Now let's do a daily kitchen story. Every morning I go into the kitchen. The kitchen is quiet, and the day is just beginning. First, I open the fridge. I take out eggs, milk, and butter. Then I close the fridge. I wash my hands because clean hands are important. After that, I turn the stove on. I put a pan on the stove, and I fry 2 eggs. I watch the eggs carefully. Then I taste the food. I add a little salt because I want good flavor. I also make coffee. The coffee is hot, and I add a little sugar. Sometimes I peel potatoes too. Sometimes I bake a cake later in the day. After I finish eating, I wash the dishes in the sink. Then I dry the dishes with a towel. Finally, I clean the table. Now the kitchen is clean again, and I feel ready for the day. Now repeat the story in your own voice. Take your time. Speak slowly. That is perfect. Now let's review the key sentences one more time. I make breakfast. I peel the potatoes. I fry eggs. I turn the stove on. I turn the stove off. I taste the food. I add salt. I add sugar. I stir the soup. I wash the dishes. I dry the dishes. I clean the table. I open the fridge. I take food from the fridge. I close the fridge. I wash my hands. I bake a cake. I make coffee. I heat the food. I use a knife. I use a spoon. Wonderful. Now let's practice. Turn the stove off. This is important. After I cook, I turn the stove off. I do not forget. I always turn the stove off. I turn the stove off after breakfast. I turn the stove off after dinner. Please repeat. I turn the stove off. Good. Now let's do one final full routine. I go to the kitchen in the morning. I open the fridge and take out the eggs. Then I close the fridge. I wash my hands. I turn the stove on and fry eggs. I peel some potatoes too. I taste the food and add a little salt. Then I make coffee and add sugar. Sometimes I stir soup. Sometimes I heat food. Sometimes I bake a cake. I use a knife carefully, and I use a spoon when I stir or taste. After I eat, I wash the dishes, dry the dishes, and clean the table. At the end, I turn the stove off, and my kitchen is clean. That was excellent. You did a great job today. Kitchen English is very useful. These are simple sentences, but they are powerful. You can use them every day. Practice a little every day. Before you go, remember this. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Learning English is the same. Some days are easy. Some days are slow. Some days feel frustrating. That is normal. What matters is that you show up, you listen, you repeat, you try again. If you stay consistent, your English will grow. Slowly, naturally. This is exponential English. Small steps. Every day. Big change over time. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take a breath. And when you are ready, keep learning.